Hi, my name is Sharifa, and this is my philosophy of teaching. So, what is my philosophy of teaching? Should I decide what I want my students to learn? Should I let my students decide what they want to learn? This is a demonstration of my learning theory. I would just simply call it my learning theory pizza. I would like to think of my learning theory as a pizza.
You have got to be kidding.
Actually, I'm not. I believe that my learning theory is comprised of many learning theories. I don't believe that I could have one without all of the others. So, my first theory that I connect the most with is behaviorism. What is behaviorism? The big idea of behavioral psychology is that we learn how to behave in various ways. You can apply behavioral principles with classroom management. B.F. Skinner created the term of operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is a method of learning that occurs through a system of rewards and punishment for behavior. In my classroom, I use Class Dojo because it is a great way to communicate with parents and to use positive reinforcement. I use Class Dojo to reinforce positive behavior mechanisms, such as giving my students points for turning in their homework or following directions quickly. What I've learned from B.F. Skinner, based on how I deal with behavior in my classroom, is that punishment is not always the best way. Reinforcement is better because it tells a student what to do, where punishment only tells them what not to do. It can also lead to aggression. So I am working on using less punishment in my classroom. This way, I'll have a more peaceful environment, and that's the way I like it. Cognitivism plays a big part in my theory of learning. I do believe that students are not just vessels, but I do believe that they can think for themselves. And schemas are the building blocks of knowledge. And we have to take what the students already know and build upon it. Piaget had the right idea when it came to hands-on learning, which we also call discovery learning. Piaget gave me insight on how young children think. He developed the 4 stages of cognitive development. Most of the students I work with operate between the pre-operational and concrete operational stages. I've learned that my students have a very complex mind, and I've learned to be patient with them because I used to lose my patience when I had to repeat myself over and over again, but now I understand why they think the way that they do. So, because of this, I have used technological resources to combat that and to help me. Some of the things that I use is voice recordings of myself so that students can go back and re-listen to things that I've said or spoken about. I also use vocabulary because this site is very helpful to my students because it uses music to capture their attention and motivate them. The social cognitive theory connects with my learning theory because it focuses on how people learn from one another. I've learned from others since I was a child. My mom taught me how to be responsible, how to cook, how to clean, and how to do my laundry. We learn from others all of the time. Albert Bandura, findings of his social learning theory, concluded that we learn from others through observation. I know it is my responsibility as a teacher to motivate my students and help them believe that they can accomplish a task. Part of how I do that is by modeling. I try my best to lead by example. I like to show my students that they can do it because I can do it. This is a great way to improve their self-efficacy. That coupled with my modeling really helps. One of the ways I keep my students motivated is by giving them brain breaks. I use Go Noodle as a device where they copy dance moves and different exercises they see other children or adults doing. They copy the dances and learn them by imitating what they see. When it comes to constructivism, I would say I connect to that theory the most. Lev Vygotsky was on the right track when he suggested that culture influences how a person learns. A person's culture cannot be ignored, so I always pay attention to a person's culture when I am teaching. It's really important to me. In order to fully learn something, You have to be engaged with the subject matter. That's why I believe that student choice is really essential. I try to give my students as much choice as possible. I use flexible seating in my classroom so students can have a variety of their seating choices. I also let them choose what books they would like to read in the classroom library. Edutopia is a great site for performance based learning, which also connects to constructivism. George Lucas created this site because he wanted students to apply their learning to what students need when it relates to 21st century learning skills. The way I see instructivism is that it falls into every learning theory category. Robert Gagne developed an instructional design for teachers and learners. I use these steps while I'm teaching all of the time. Connectivism takes into account that the internet has broadened our horizons when it comes to learning. In this day and age, connectivism has taken more of the forefront than it ever has before. We use all types of technological tools throughout our daily life. This is why I connect this theory to all of the others. It has an effect on our behavior, our attitudes, and the way that we think. This is the new era of learning. So there you have it. My learning theory, Pisa. I believe in creating whatever your mind can conceive of. This is how new ideas are thought about. This is how inventions are able to be developed. Creativity sparks imagination. It is the flame that keeps the fire burning. My job as a teacher is to nurture that flame and keep it lit. That is my teaching philosophy and theory of learning.